Hey there! Welcome to a new episode of the Art Chains podcast. Here we talk about art, NFTs, and music on the blockchain. Together, we explore how artists, musicians, and content creators can promote their work and earn in the Web3 space. Thank you so much for joining us and have a nice listen. GM, everybody! Doesn't matter what time of the day is on your side, but it's still a GM because we're in the Web3. Thanks God. Welcome back to the Art Chain Spaces, another episode of Art Chain Spaces. And I'm super happy to have you all here to see your beautiful PFPs. Oh, I actually have my second co host. I mean, first and second. I don't have first or second. Oh my God, I'm so formal, you know. Nico, I'm inviting you to speak, to co host this space. GM again, everybody. I'm really happy to have to see you all here again. It's Wednesday, which means that it's an art chain space day. So yeah, please don't forget to retweet the room to bring a bit more people here. It's really cool, you know, to make people know about what we are doing. And it's also, I think that our spaces are super valuable for more people in this Web3 space and hopefully in Web2 space as well. I wanted to say, like, okay, for the very beginning, today is a super special episode of our spaces because today we're back to the roots, to my roots, to roots of my speakers, and I think that to the roots of all of you because we're all here. I think that every single person in this world loves music. And I think that blockchain is something that really bring, like, at least it brought some hope like a couple of years ago uh into the whole music industry, because you know most of us in the music industry would say like it's corrupted, it's not fair, it's this is that, and actually a lot of those statements are like true. That's for real. And you know, like web3 music is like the concept of music on chain made made the whole thing, the whole space, like a little bit different. And I think like it has a potential. It has the potential to make to change this whole industry and the whole mm, uh, system of relationships between artists and listeners, like dramatically. So I will stop rambling, and I will say hi to my co-hosts Kaden and Nico, aka Nico and Terra Bitcoins, and then we'll drop our mic to our incredibly legendary and massive and super cool speakers. So my dear co-host, how are you doing today?
I'll go first. I'm doing super duper well. Super happy to see everyone has joined us again for another fantastic Argent space. And now I will give the mic to Tara so he can tell everyone how super duper well he's doing.
Absolutely. GM. No, I answered first today. Cheers from sunny Portugal. I'm having goosebumps today. I have long-term friends and legends here talking about music. It will be an amazing space for sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear.
Let's go, everybody. So, yeah, guys, I have a plan, like, for this space. Let's start it like this. Um, I really want to get our listeners to know all of the speakers. So let's start with Songs of Eden. And guys, let's please introduce yourself. But imagine that you need to introduce yourself like in less than 2 minutes. So let's go because we have like a lot of questions to discuss today. So yeah, please, Songs of Eden, my friend, like one of my first friends after Custom Horror in this space. GM, it's been a while, and how are you doing? And please introduce yourself.
GM, or G something, I guess. Introduce myself.
GG.
We learned the term GLT from Nifty Island, which is good local time. So we can basically, it works for everybody. No, but I'm a musician, music producer, been doing that as a profession my whole life. apart from 3 months when I moved to our capital here in Stockholm, where I worked in a clothing store. Other than that, I've been touring musician, producing songs. I think I had close to 10 number ones worldwide, and since a few years, been lucky to work with solely my own music. And here in Web3, I'm basically just trying to make fun things with great people and connect for the future, basically. See, Tesh, you've been also a mirror long time MIDI Punk Solder, which is our community, and Prism, shout out to him down there, co-founder. Tesh, of course, Abel, Max, Terabit, and sorry, I always forget you, but you're a king now. You're co-hosting. He was one of the first who minted our DJ. And yeah, what do we do? I want to try to do something different. So all the artworks are originally painted with the piano. And then shout out to Prism down there who made it possible to color them and name them. So that is our collection. And talk about being unfair. I guess that's something I just thought when you mentioned it. I think that goes along for everybody. And depending on who you ask, if you ask Snoop Dogg, I think he think it's a pretty fair to be in the music business. And if you ask someone working in the grocery store, I think they would agree that it's not unfair. They don't make enough money. So yeah, hopefully that sums up. Hopefully I nail the 2 minutes. If I don't, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and if you don't, we will cancel you. We will ban you for sure. I'm just joking. Um, yeah, you also forgot to mention that you're from sunny Sweden, right?
If you remove Sunny, I can assure you that's totally correct.
Alrighty, got you, sir. Thank you so much for the introduction. We also have Abel in the room. Like I think that Abel actually is the very first collector of my music NFTs. I don't have much of them, and they are actually hidden in the vault of Foundation, in the void of Foundation. And he was the very first person who collected my music on chain. So Abel, and also he's a really great person in this Web3 music world, and I cannot wait to hear from Abel to introduce himself. I probably he will do that better. Abel, GM, my man.
Hey, what's up? I'm here and everybody. Happy to be here. Thanks for the awesome intro. Yeah, it's been a while, and I've been producing music for years. I do a lot of electronic music, and I've worked in film and commercials and put out albums and all sorts of different things along the way. And then been in NFTs and music since like 2021. And I run a weekly space called the NFT Record Shop with the co-founder Nate Guppy, which is an awesome space. A lot of people here have been there. And yeah, just continue to minting music and exploring technology and seeing where that connects with everything. And just happy to be here. And Amir, yeah, definitely. I am, what an honor to be the first collector of your NFT. Little did I know that, we would be here today like this. And I just really liked the art and the music that you were making and just really vibed with it. And I started on Foundation myself. So I think your piece might have been like one of the first pieces I collected on that platform myself too. So there's a lot of firsts there. So yeah, I'll have to dig it up and post it in the comments.
Yeah, man, like so funny to speak about music NFTs on Foundation. It's so like wait a second, what? Yeah, man, I'm like
Yeah.
yeah. Go, please go for it.
No, it was crazy because it's like kind of like, to where we are now. It felt like putting a, square peg in a round hole back then. Like, I think I started making music NFTs before the words music and NFT were, sort of attached at the hip like they are now. So I think that you experienced some of that. And, but again, it's a fun adventure.
Yeah, man, it's something like really special, and I will drop a few of my provocative thoughts after introductions. And yeah, right now I wanted to go to one of my favorite people in this space. I'm not talking about myself, and I'm not even talking right now about my wife, who's in the speakers. Please show some love to Taya. Yeah, she's an amazing photographer. But I will shield her artworks a bit later. One of my favorite people in this space at all. I really admire his vibes and his music and his creativity on all the platforms. Max, it's all about you. Please introduce yourself, man.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. Sorry, I just woke up like literally 20 minutes ago. Thank you for having me. For those people that don't know me, I'm a songwriter. Been writing for other people for a long time, and started working for music for film for a while, and then now shifting to musicals. So I am in the space writing two musicals, including the Nouns musical. So we're working with Nouns and writing their musical. So I'm very excited about it. And yeah, that's not, dude, Amir, fucking amazing to see you, buddy. I haven't been in your spaces in a minute, so I know this is gonna be fun.
Oh yes, sir. Like, but like, let me be myself. I mean, let me be dumb. Uh, what is musicals, man? I don't really like. I'm out of the contest. Context, please. What's
So
that?
imagine, I think the best way to tell musicals is like imagine the song already has a story. I think that's like what made me love musicals as much as I do, is like if you think of a song, it already has a story from beginning to end. And sometimes it's very deep, sometimes it can be a little bit more shallow. But now imagine if you take 10 songs and you tell a story around that. And you tell a story around the 10 songs that basically link all of them together. That's um, that's a musical, technically, I think.
Man, you will have to shield it a little bit more a bit after if you're okay with that, because like I'm still like curious about details, because I know about us. I know something about nouns. I know something about you, and I would love to know more about the how those two beautiful entities are bridging and what you're building. Um, Let me introduce Yoshi. Yoshi is an amazing musician as well. He's one of the community leaders, I think, in Tezos Commons. Those guys are hosting weekly spaces, and I think it's more than like one space per week on Tezos Commons. And I'm always enjoying a lot their vibes in those spaces. So please, Yoshi, please. I bet that you will do this job way better than me. Please introduce yourself, my man.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Amir. Thank you, Caden, Terra Bitcoin. You guys are running a great space here. It's wonderful to see so many spaces that I typically don't see in my everyday adventures on X. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name's Yoshi. I'm a 20 plus year struggling singer songwriter, musician turned jack of all trades by reality. As a young musician and artist, I learned how to do photography and mixed media so I could create all of my own like advertising and album art and stuff like that. And then when we got into Web3, it felt like a natural transition into making art and NFTs, some with and some without music. I got into the space in 2017 when things were kind of hitting rock bottom for me personally, financially, and took a pause from gigging. I was gigging all around Georgia. I'm born and raised Georgia, United States. I was gigging all around for years and years and just got tired of it. Web3 offered me a chance to revive my music and my love for art. And right as I finally started figuring out the technical stuff, I discovered Tezos and fell in love. Have been there ever since, creating, documenting my music story, documenting my art journey, helping the community however I can with whatever I learn along the way. And eventually, after several years of putting basically full time effort into the space, I this year recently took work with Tezos Commons, hosting a weekly space called Artsy Friday, helping write weekly articles, helping manage the community on Twitter, and whatever else they ask me to do. If I can step up and do more, I will. That being said, it's definitely one of those. I'm at one of those places in life where I've never been more heavy on the exploration. As somebody that grew up, I went to Belmont University, studied music, performance, and really learned a lot of the technicals. Hated it. I've always been a very by feel songwriter. So I kept running with it, took the experiences from life, and I feel like I'm finally at a place where I just don't care about what style comes out. I'm just creating my emotions in the music. So you'll find anything from acoustic singer songwriter stuff to like EDM and dubstep, where I used AI to make the instrumental and then sang over it and then refed it to the AI and then sang over it. Like, I'm doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and I've never had more fun making music.
Man, this is yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you really so much for joining us. First of all, really like it's. I don't know how come that you never joined our spaces before. Like I have zero ideas. Finally we are fixing that, and I'm happy to have you here. We also have Tay. My man, I think that we crossed before, but yeah, if you will introduce yourself, it will be way better. Please do it for us and GM.
GM, I got you, bro. I got you. But first of all, I gotta give you flowers for the space, for the opportunity, for letting me speak. Cause I know I saw the title. I knew this was gonna be a banger space. Cause I joined the space and I see the OG audience, and I see the speaker panel. It's insane. It's like all the Avengers of the music NFT space just assembled in one place, bro. It's awesome. So to introduce myself, bro, this I suck at this, but I'll try my best. I'm Tej. I'm a music artist. I'm from India, and I'm blacking out. But I'm gonna tell one thing. I'm gonna say one thing before we get the space started. Music in Web3, dead or alive. Let me tell you a story, right? I came into the space. I came into this Web3 music NFT space at a time when NFTs weren't booming, like the NFT sales were not skyrocketing. And I've been in the space for pretty good 1 year. Um, I'm pretty, like relatively new than, every other artist that you see on the panel and in the audience. But dude, the time I had in the space, the people I've met, and the experiences I had in the space within the time I've been in the space, it was insanely good. It was insanely helpful for me to grow as an artist, for me to learn how the space works. It was insane, dude, the amount of people I met. And if you're telling me, like, I've never seen how, like 2021 looked like, when NFTs were booming. Um, but if you're telling me this is what dead looks like, dude, like I can't wait how alive looks like. Like the cycle that's coming up, or when people start coming in, when the dead space that's gonna get alive. I'm so pumped for that, bro, because I've seen the trenches and people that stick for the long term who are invested in the Web3 music space. I feel like the space never dies. But I'm not gonna take too much time. That's Tage for you. You're a friendly neighborhood music artist. That's my tagline. Yeah, I make pop music. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much my intro, bro. Hopefully, we're gonna have a good time. I see all the OGs in the space on the panel. Yeah, I'm excited for the space, bro. Let's go.
It's your girl, and yeah, man, really. You actually touched the ground that it was my next question. It was like my probably my main question for today. And let's discuss it like immediately. Well, let's not wait. Oh my god, man! So my question is like music NFTs. Let me drop a couple of words of my background. When I came to the Web3 space, I came actually for the sake of music because I've been into music since 2008 when I had my rock band, like hardcore band. After that, I had a few projects in music as well, and I've been working with Warner Music as well as a designer, as a design studio. And my first Web3 experience was exactly with Warner. because they say that, yo, we need to do something in our area, um, with music, with one of our artists, and we made a really great project together with them and Binance. And after that, I started being my interest just ignited, and I started learning about NFTs, about metaverse and stuff. Metaverse was a thing back then in 2021, and after that, like after we fell into the bear market, I started digging even deeper because I was curious, like it's not a hot thing anymore, but still, many people are into. And I started joining like a lot of spaces dedicated to music NFTs. And I was like super curious to know how we can apply this technology to make the whole scene, the whole industry more diverse and interesting. How can we support artists more directly, more fair and stuff like this? And like honestly, I got really hooked and I started collecting some pieces. Then, Sound.xyz, they launched their marketplace. It was amazing. It brought me back to my 2000s when I was collecting CDs and cassettes, and I started collecting songs. But then somehow, I don't remember when it happened, but I think it was the beginning of this year, 2024. I it seemed to me like the whole Web3 music started fading out, from timelines. Sound started, it filled with the free means, which I didn't like at all. And after a few months of 2024, I literally stopped seeing music on my crypto timeline. I'm constantly seeing tweets from Songs of Eden, from Abel, sometimes from Yoshi, of course Max, but it's not in my view, from my perspective, it's not a constant and building up like movement anymore. So I wanted to ask you guys like pretty simple question, like are music NFTs dead or not? And if yes, then why do you think so? If not, why you don't think so? Thanks. Please feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, and let's have this conversation. Yoshi, please.
I have so much to say on this subject.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing, y'all. Music is global, universal, and cannot die. What we're witnessing is a misunderstanding of how to rebuild what has become corrupt and more centralized than any other art form in existence, in my opinion. When you look at the music industry compared to any other art world, it's just different. It's run by mega corporations. Everybody and their moms, if they want to listen to music, go to Spotify. And it's just, they don't see the problem because for consumers, it isn't a problem. They've been given this super easy, thought free way to discover and listen to music already. It's just not in their perceptions. My view of Web3, ever since I got into the space, before NFTs were even a thing, is this is an opportunity for the musicians of the world to unite and create something new. But if people are going to use it, we got to be loud and we got to be real and we got to be frank with them and point out what is wrong and how it's hurting us as musicians trying to live a life and create music for them. So I'm extremely passionate about this space. Number one, because I see it as one of the only avenues to save music for mankind. And I mean that in the most dramatic possible way. So with that being said, I hope everybody hears that, because at the end of the day, like, I genuinely sit on this problem and reflect on it every day. And one of the things that we are missing from this space that makes the average mainstream user, especially right now, kind of scoff at us is that we have no music in this revolution. We need to fix that, and we need to be loud about it. Because right now, the music is kind of dead in this space. Will it stay dead? That's not even possible. Absolutely not possible. That's not how humankind works. But we need to take some stands and put out music and consistently share with people why this benefits not only them, but the future of music. And I can't state that loud enough, guys. Like, I sit here in my studio crying about this often because I see the world losing music and losing a passion for it. And even going to the other extreme and saying, maybe life's better without it. Because we're all so trapped in this grind that the music that people are getting to hear isn't what people like you and me are making. It's manufactured to sell. And that might sound weird to some of y'all that might go listen to personally some of my music. It's very mainstream, very friendly. I try to write words that anybody can absorb, but that's me. Always has been. You can look back to my entire history line of my music from when I first released albums at like 14 years old and hear that. I just have a mainstream-ish sound. That being said, I hate this industry the way it is right now. Everyone should. No one should accept Spotify as the end-all be-all of the music art world. I think I'll end it there. I could keep going for days.
Man, I don't want to. I don't want to break the flow of the conversation. If anyone wants to chime in and continue, please, guys, unmute yourself and let's go. Come on, all
Well, I
right,
can I can
all right.
I can say something. I think
It's
I think just to add a little something, I do agree with the payment system. On the other hand, I would say that Spotify has made it easier, at least for me. And I watch my kids finding music, finding indie artists in a super easy way. So I think, and also even with the payment system, I know probably 20 people who are making a living solely out of Spotify. So me being around for a long time, that wasn't possible. Let's say 20 years ago, where you have to convince some guy in a suit to even release a record. So I think it's pros and cons, and some good, some it has opened up some good doors with Spotify, I would say, in order to easily find
I,
alternative
I, I
music.
don't disagree with you giving people opportunity around the world, but I definitely feel like one of the things I sit here crying about is the fact that my fellow musicians have accepted it and don't see the problems that I feel like I see for us long term accepting it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, imagine if we forced all of the visual NFT artists in this space to have their only main platform where people are going to actually go watch their stuff be like a Spotify. Why does visual art deserve this revolution and change when they had deviant art, which isn't much different than the visual version of Spotify? So why do we as musicians not deserve to be part of this revolution? Is really where I find myself at when I think about Spotify and its pros and cons.
I think Amir, you had made a really good point, and something that keep on spinning in my head, and that I rarely hear someone else mention, and that is how can we use the technology to make new experiences for, let's say, I always tend to think of my kids, but how can I make them just feel like, wow, this is amazing. I can do this, I can do that using the Web3 technology. That's something I'm constantly uh, thinking about myself. And that's one of the things we do with the MIDI punks, for instance, where we let everybody join songs, which isn't possible in, let's say, I could never reach out to Spotify and say, "Hey, I have a song with 150 people that is tied to a game," and they would just laugh at me. We can do it here, so that is something I'm trying to figure out instead of doing more of the kind of try to ask people to, "Hey, please do this and that." Give them something that is so irresistible, so they just have to join it. I think the same goes with, let's say, Spotify and YouTube. They never thought in the terms of how can we onboard people. They just built a platform that is so powerful, so you just use it on a daily basis.
Yeah,
that's
it's so convenient. So convenient.
absolutely where I keep finding myself as well, is like that's what needs to be done. We need a platform that really makes it a no-brainer transition. I could go on for that for days, but I don't want to take over the space. Sorry, y'all.
Let me
You're good.
just
You're
say
good.
that Songs of Eden not just do songs with 1,000 people in it. He's also sending it to the moon.
What? Sorry. What do you mean?
Literally.
What the hell do you mean, Atera? Songs of Eden. Please explain yourself.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
dropped the bombs. Now you
Oh my God.
you take it.
No, but I mean that is just one thing that we can do here. So yeah, basically Elon Musk, SpaceX, we're bringing 47 pieces of art to dropping it on the moon surface in the end of this year, and Punks are happy to be one of the projects. So I know there's no sound on on the moon, but just to know that it's up there, and it's actually dropped on a spot that is visible from our planet. So yeah, happening in a few weeks, guys.
Not
So
yet. Not
sorry.
sound in the moon. Not yet.
Yeah. So yeah.
Web 4.
Yeah, Songs of Eden, MIDI punks to the moon soon. We have Abel with the hand raise. So Abel, yeah, I think let me refresh the question. Like, are music NFTs dead or not? And if they are dead, why? And if not, why?
That's an interesting question. I think in general my answer would be they're not dead. Um, and but I think also I was just kind of listening to what Yoshi, what you were saying, and thinking about like the different problems that we have with music, and it seems like there's two different problems that we're talking about. One is discovery and listening, and the other one is like making a sustainable living out of it. And the fact that people individually and collectively don't quite get that their contributions go directly to support the music and the artists, and therefore there's more music made, and that success in the music world looks like consistent time to make music and a living doing that. And I've definitely had a career in music. I do music and production full time, but I wouldn't say that most of the income that I get is from people listening to my music. So I'd say, like, if you're expecting or believing in, streaming as people listening to your music is going to pay you enough to make a living, it's a lot. It's a lot of listening. There's only 24 hours in a day, and we each have two ears, and stuff like that. So we also have to be aware of sound around us. We can't listen to music all day long. Like, visual art has a little bit of a leg up there, because you can take in visual art without sound around you, and it's all over the place. Like right now, we're using our voice for sound, but the visual side of our PFPs kind of tell a lot of the story. So one thing that I've realized is a way to have success is to use the discovery to point people to where they can support you. And I think this goes back to a lot of people in this space who are creative and creators, and some at different levels, right? If you do get a lot of discovery, having some place that people can go to support you is very, very important. Otherwise, you kind of miss out on that. But I think that we are just kind of in a place where NFTs and music aren't really as interesting or easily accessible as other apps that are on the phone. And I think the phone is the main place that people discover and listen and browse and share music these days. So maybe things will move a little bit farther towards that. And I think that where we're at is kind of layer one, I would say, with music and NFTs. And I think what we're going to see is a layer sort of two, in my mind, would be things that people can do with music NFTs. Whether that's bring it into the game that you're playing as a soundtrack, or have it and put it into a remixing software or something like that, or put it into some sort of staking system, and you're earning, quote unquote royalties from being a music manager, or maybe there's all sorts of different ideas that people can play with and figure out what we will do with music. And I think that it's up to us to create those pieces of music and music in pieces that will fit into something like that. And it's kind of a very gray area right now, because in the traditional world, we've got ASCAP and some, representation for royalties and streaming and radio and all of that stuff. But when it comes to NFTs, we're sort of on our own, which I think is a very good thing. And also it's kind of can be very difficult. And, a lot of it is, I think, just, doing things like we're doing right now, where we're sort of exploring what people are doing with music. What's MIDI punks doing with music? How far are they taking music? I mean, MIDI is a musical language. I use it almost every day. Well, pretty much every day when I'm in the studio. So, I think that music is a deep world that we still haven't explored the whole picture, or the complete, orchestration of it. So I think that's what NFTs and Web3 is really bringing. And the people who are here can get that and understand that, and have some fun. And we get to places where it's a little bit difficult, but I think that, every day I see something new. And this is one of the funnest parts about being in music, and this part of tech and this time is exploring these new pieces of technology. Whether or not it's the answer or not, it's still an exploration, and I think that it gives insight and perspective to what might be next. But yeah, I think that this already has gotten to such a great conversation, and I just wanted to, I guess, simplify, go back to pointing out those two distinctions of music discoverability. That's not very great with NFTs. And then making a living and supporting the artist, I think, is great with NFTs. But how do we get to a sort of place where that's feeling balanced? I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah, it's like super complex questions, and I'm happy that you brought them up. But we actually have a couple of new guests. I'm not familiar with you guys, and you have your hands raised. Meta Rights, I will start with you. GM, how are you doing? I see that you guys are. You will probably introduce yourself way better than me. But you have some radio, and this is why I think that you have something to add to the conversation. GM.
Yeah, I appreciate that. This is Hermie, CEO of MetaRides behind the PFP. A lot of legends in this space. I will say that music NFTs are not dead, because I had my MIDI Punks t-shirt on Sunday. I do want to say, Abel summarized everything really, really well. I think that as musicians in Web3, you're independent artists, you're not attached to a label, you can do what you want. That's a good thing, but it makes it extremely difficult when there's not a Web3 Spotify that's out there that pays you better royalties and attaches itself to multiple blockchains and gives the user a one stop shop to be able to listen to everything. I think that's, in my opinion, the biggest concern that I have for Web3 music. I will say this, though, as virtual worlds and metaverse worlds start to be more common, musicians, I've said this before in spaces, they need to be ready. They need to be ready for concerts. They need to be ready with agreements and contracts for their music playing inside buildings and attractions. In addition to that, I think that Web3 gaming, and it's exactly what we're building, allows music to be attached to digital assets, right? So for Web2 musicians, they get to monetize in a different way than they've ever seen before, and their fan base gets a racing experience that they've never seen before, at least with us. In addition to that, Web3 musicians who are looking to expand their ecosystem get an opportunity to be on MetaRides Radio and get a lot more, eyeballs or ears on what they're building. And ultimately, we try to send people back to their ecosystem and promote them with videos and such, et cetera. So I think that as musicians in the space, at least today, you have to get creative. You have to do things differently. Songs is bringing in hundreds of people into each one of his tracks to expand that audience. It's a genius idea. I think that the more creative you can get, the more you can set yourself apart. It allows you to take that independence and be able to build in a very unique way. I think that where we may go in a year's time, if somebody steps up and creates that Web3 label or Web3 platform, again, I know the word label is frowned upon, but I think there's a way that it can be built where it's got the musician in mind and not necessarily the label in mind, or just the label in mind, as they're putting something together that works to make something user friendly for the listeners. But at any rate, love you guys. Nico, I hope you're well. I hope Caden is well. Haven't chatted with you in a minute, sir, and hope everybody in the space has a great day.
I really want them to start saving these recorded spaces for longer.
Yes, 30 days. That's all you get, Tara. Then you have to forget about it and move on.
We actually, just a drop of the alpha. Right now, I'm working on editing our previous episodes, and we will be uploading them on Spotify and Apple Music as podcasts, and also to YouTube, I guess. Yes, thanks, Songs of Eden. Thanks so much.
So hold on. If you're editing this, appreciate the microphone. This is Hermie with Meta Rides. Hope everyone's having a great day. Tara, love you, bro. You're the best. And have a great day, too. There you go.
Now I can sleep well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also we had Paul with hand raised before. So Paul, GM, how are you doing? And what do you think about the state of music NFTs? Are they dead or not, and why? Thanks.
Big up Amir. Big up all the people in the space as well. Happy Wednesday. We are alive. Bitcoin is up. Coming to you all the way from the UK. Big up anyone that's from Europe as well. Always love saying that. But big up everyone genuinely trying and making art. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that is a thing that you have to get up and try and do, and you have to try and be better, 1% better every day. That's something I try and do. It's a philosophy of my work. NFTs. I mean, as someone that's been working in the space and around it since 2017, and trying to communicate the philosophy of cryptocurrency and why it could help the current financial model that we have has been an uphill battle. But the state of the markets today, I'm proud to say that many of us that have stayed the course are vindicated. So NFTs, definitely, it's always something that's I've been paying attention to. Something you try to get involved in different communities. We know the whole pump and dump scenarios that happened through 2020, 2021. Many of us are still here as well. So kudos to everyone who's still here. Spotify is something I'm definitely going to be completely avoiding, just as a fun game, and I want to front run all of the platforms I'm using in terms of launching music on chain. That's something that I want to do, to front run all of the legacy platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. Yeah, I had a couple of ideas and things I might want to suggest later in terms of how we address Spotify, but it seems like the artist pool payouts are shrinking. A lot of people we have on our own show, which is every Thursday, CloudPoint Thursday with myself and GodCloud. We're every single week on X as well. So we talk about these things quite often, and it's a huge thing to try to work through this space. So as an artist myself, I worry about people coming up after me and thinking where do they even start, right? Because this software is expensive, hardware is expensive, getting studio mastering, mixing and mastering time is expensive, and then you have to bloody market the thing and you have to pay for that. So I really feel like time has been called on platforms like Spotify. I think we've reached the absolute dizzying top. If you look at the stock market itself, you can see that, people who have big bags in Spotify and stuff like that are starting to sell. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, big up Daniel Ek. So we know that, it's essentially the top for them, and it's the start for things like, new systems, new, communities from the beginning upwards. And new technologies, and there's a space for us to work together collaboratively and to operate outside of that. And it can be exciting, it can be daunting, but I'm just trying to add a friendly voice and a friendly face to try to support new creators and new. And it was amazing to hear the point about deviant art. I think that was Yoshi. Why can't music exist in its own right for its own purpose? Why can't music just be valued universally? Why does it have to be, kind of squeezed into this little Spotify, Apple Music box? And I think it suits the consumer, and that says a lot about how the people are experiencing and communicating music. So it's down to us to communicate the value of music through new experiences. And as a Londoner, as someone in Europe, I've seen nightclub after nightclub, iconic venues disappear. Maybe the metaverse is a place that we can start to do more sort of live events and stuff like that. So that's a possibility. I know that ABBA has been playing in London as well. They're virtual reality shows, nothing to do with the metaverse, but you see where I'm going with this. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think I've said enough there. But I'm excited for the future, and I'm staying the course. And yeah, Bitcoin is up. So congrats to everyone who's holding or involved in that. And we're gonna see what the future holds for us. And I love, making music, and I want to continue collaborating with many people. In fact, many people in this room, I'm going to be reaching out to and trying to collab with as well. Yes, I've got my eye on you songs. Yes, Abel. Yes, you're down there. Even you, Max, being all quiet and stuff. Big up everyone in the chat, and thanks to you for giving me 2 minutes to speak, Amir. Much love. Been lovely to listen to the space as well.
Man, that was massive, and we will not let you go before you will answer a couple of more questions in this space. Nancy, you back, man? I hope that you're back.
GM. My name is Nessie Dorilla. For all you guys that have never met me before, Amir, thank you for hosting the space. Pleasure to meet you. I've been in the space almost 3 years. Before that, I've been making music for about 20 years, doing the whole Web 2 thing and opening up for people, getting shelved by labels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in terms to the question, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm tired of hearing this question, y'all. What? Why are we even asking this? You know what I'm saying? We're here every single day working. If we're not here, we're in the background every single day working. I don't see the artists that are mainstream, I don't see their fan bases asking for 10% of what we offer to our community, you know what I'm saying, and to our supporters. We have real life conversations with them. We meet up with them outside of Web3. Me and Meta Dave are freaking locked in, bro. We've met up and, you know what I'm saying, rolled up a couple, talking about the future and just kicking it, So I can't find that type of value in Web2 without having to do the nitty gritty of okay, here's the people listening to my song in Austin, Texas. All right, it shows I have a huge following there. Now I have to book a show there in order to maybe meet some of these people. All right, bet I booked a show there, but now I only met maybe 3 people that were interested versus Spotify telling me I had 50,000 people here. So it doesn't make sense. No, sorry, it's just frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, because obviously they're alive. We're here. You know what I'm saying? We're not like the quickness of the JPEGs that are being made off of ChatGPT or whatever you have. You know what I'm saying? We are real artists with real brands, real feelings, and we're developing. Everything doesn't happen overnight. I've had my project Open Minds minting since July of 2023, and we just now have less than 50 minutes left. And it's been a marathon. Why? Because we don't do things overnight. We're artists. You know what I'm saying? So anybody thinking that music in Web3 is dead, I mean, that's their opinion, but that just gives me more juice and more motivation to just show them no, we're not dead. You know what I'm saying? Max is developing a freaking musical over here, y'all. What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's just man, we're very far from dead. The only time we'll be dead is if we say it. And if we just continue with these conversations asking each other, hey, are we dead, guys? Are you dead? You dead? I'm still alive, but are you dead? Because, they're saying that we're dead, but I'm here and you're here and we're still bringing new people in and we're still doing amazing things and developing wonderful innovations. So what we doing?
Y'all, I got to step down and go to a meeting with Tezos Commons. But first of all, I really appreciate everything that y'all have said. It actually means a lot to listen to everybody's takes on this, especially after my little bit of a marathon of a spiel. Paul, I'm sending you a huge spiritual hug for seeing and hearing what I was saying. I think at the end of the day, we have to remember that until somebody can place a JPEG and somebody else can place an MP3 on the internet, and those two separate entities, those two separate art forms have equal opportunity, we're not where we need to be. And then if you think about it to the next step, this is really the part that I just drive home all the time, guys. As musicians, we are producing visual art as well at this point. We are putting out visual art that has music attached to it. In a logical world, what we're putting out would be twice as valuable to some people, because it literally, somebody made the point about visual art has a leg up. I kind of disagree, because we are putting out visual art that people can choose to not press the play button and still enjoy. And that's where I'm at in my kind of jack of all trades adventure, is how can I put out so much options of me and expressing myself through art that nobody has an excuse anymore to not be moved by something in some moment. And so that's where I'm at. I appreciate you guys so much. I definitely will start joining these spaces more. I didn't realize we had such a big music community going on here. So love you. And please, if you come to RT Friday on Friday, we'll get to learn a lot more about the art director over at Trilitech, Alexandra RT. I'm extremely excited to talk to her on Friday. So come join us. And thank you again, Amir, Caden, and Tara, for having me up.
Yoshi, thank you for being here. And before you go, just confirm if you are still hosting your spaces on Sunday where you play.
I'm in a very torn place there, doing a lot of exploring, trying to figure out the best avenue to spend that energy. I recently started going live on my main TikTok channel and just got paid out for the first time directly to PayPal, $14 whole for 2 lives. So at the end of the day, that seems to be a good route. But I will say, guys, I was on my phone this morning and I noticed that Elon snuck a nice little live button into our options. So I definitely plan to experiment with that, because for all we know, what we've been asking for is being developed on this site right now.
Thanks for coming, Yoshi. It was a great pleasure to have you finally here in this space. Thanks, man. We had actually Dan with his hand raised for so long. Dan, GM, what's up? What's up? Please drop a couple of words about
Yeah,
yourself and what you think.
hey GM. I'm actually really excited to be here. I did follow Max here. That's the only person I knew. Um, and now I know a lot more people. Just like I'm so excited to have found my people. So I've been kind of in Web3 music for about the last 3 years. I was first introduced to it by Chantel. Like I still remember like the moment that I was driving to a teaching thing, and I stopped at a mall and was like listening to a space, and I'm like, what is this? What is Web3? What does that mean? So I got curious right away, and so I'm an educator. I'm a composer, producer, performer, and also a special education teacher. So I've and a filmmaker. So I've got a whole bunch of different things going on. And I work right now in the nonprofit space. We actually write songs and produce music videos with kids around the world. And that's where I'm just realizing, and now for the first time really able to verbalize some of these thoughts, that we are in this nexus of dead or alive. You know, it's a time in history where we have to build bridges both ways. And I loved what Yoshi said. So I don't know if he's still here, but that was so inspiring. You know, like until we have that moment where we can drop an MP3 and an NFT and whatever that looks like, then you know we still got work to do. So it's thriving. And Nessie, absolutely loved what you contributed, and I was like fist pumping pretty much the whole time. So one of the things I want to add is that I think something that can be explored more is the dynamic nature of NFTs and assets. And there's a lot going on with it, but that's really the value that NFTs carry is this ability to have utilities and monetary worth and emotional value kind of all at the same time. And so the challenge is aligning that and interfacing it with the PROs that already exist. I kind of first got into the music industry. Well, not kind of, I did get into the music industry through ASCAP, and that was like 20 years ago, and just learning the ropes of how do you make it with this whole digital music, you know, and what does that look like? And now, where digital music is just an assumption, it's a reality. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and she's a digital native. She just understands a lot of this far deeper than I do. The integration of being able to adopt something quickly, just learn it and apply it very, very quickly. So that's, I think, the mindset we have to be in, and especially with these assets in Web3, where we can attach utilities, we can attach experiences, we can attach real world value to what we are offering. So it's beyond this digital music. It's beyond anything that can be offered by just purchasing music. So that's one of the things we have to just kind of keep sunsetting as we stand in this, you know, shifting tectonic plate of the music industry. And one of the things we can really start embracing and adopting into everything we do, and especially in schools. Like this is the hill that I'm willing to die on is making music important in schools in the U.S. Because I'm part of a global community. I'm part of this incredible music community worldwide, and the U.S. has these diminishing arts programs, and we're still, you know, standing on this ideal that classes exist one-on-one. Like we can experience math individually and science individually and reading and writing and social studies. All of these don't happen in vacuums. They happen in dynamic world experiences. And the best way to mediate that is art and music. So we need to kind of reverse that. That's one of the other things we need to really sunset in the education world, is this this kind of one-off of subjects, and even like the specialization within higher education. The 21st century workforce is not a workforce that is calling for people to specialize in just one thing. Uh, we have to be masters of a lot of different things at the same time. Like was already mentioned in music, we have to take on this capacity for creating visuals, for creating film, for creating different ways to consume music, for accessibility. And there's just I am aware that I'm having like a soapbox moment. I'm just very charged, and I'm very excited to meet you guys. So just to kind of round it all off and to cadence a bit, we have to build bridges in both ways. So we have to look back and say, what did we learn from Web 2? What did we learn from this pervasive digital music that has overtaken this physical media? What are we learning from this physical media like vinyl that's coming back? So there's all of those pieces, but then it's also what can we learn from Web3 and from the further developments of music, and bringing in these real world assets, these experiences, these utilities, and attaching them as we start exploring not just how to make the world better and life better on Earth, but as we start really exploring the cosmos and reaching to that wonderful word beyond. So we're in a nexus. We've got to build bridges both ways, and I'll yield the mic.
Let's go, man. Thank you so much for your perspectives. And we have Nessie. Nessie, please go for it, my friend.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's great points all around, but honestly, it's just like anybody listening down there wondering if it's dead or not, just give us time. You know, I remember 2 years ago or almost 3 years ago when I got in this space, there was a lot of things that were not developed. You know what I'm saying? We do have Parrot Radio now, which people can actually sync their music NFTs and stream them. You know what I'm saying? So that is a thing. And there are also a lot of other great utilities that people are building in this ecosystem. So sometimes you just gotta, you know what I'm saying, keep that open mind and just open up those eyes a little bit more and do a little bit more research, and you'll see that they definitely are not dead. It's just being developed. But my twins woke up, so I do got to drop down. I didn't want to leave without saying bye, but great conversation. I'll definitely be keeping noties on for you, Amir, to come back for future convos. I hope everybody has a great day, a great week, a great month, a great life. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully I'll see some of y'all at Art Basel. I'll be performing at Zalcella, so pop up.
Thank you so much for joining, man, and for your perspectives. And I love I love the retrospective behind your words. Like literally, even in 2022, there was almost nothing, for music on chain. And yeah, right now we have way more applications, even mobile apps. We have websites. We have, I don't know, like so many opportunities to free means, like yeah, so many things, and yeah, I could not
And
agree
it's
more
not to
here.
say that, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's not to say that we are where we need to be at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have a long ways to go for sure, but we do need to recognize where we are now and be able to be thankful for it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, everything doesn't happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. These things take time, but I'm glad that we are still having progression compared to the last 3 months, 6 months, a year, and so forth. So, just whenever you feel like it's a standstill and nothing's really happening, guys, sometimes just take a look back to recognize how far we have come, because we definitely have come a long way.
Yeah, man, couldn't agree more. And we have songs of Eden with hand raised, and then we will go to Paul.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank Meta Rights for the kind words. And I think, honestly, just being in this industry for so long, I think it doesn't need to be a long road. Basically, one filter on Instagram just makes everybody move from TikTok. One invention here just makes everybody go there. And I think the same goes with everything basically on the blockchain. One little dance move in a specific metaverse will make millions of people to join in a week or two. So I think it's just a matter of finding the right product that makes people tick, and then the movement will be crazy. And that's kind of how I think about it. We always keep on saying that we're early, but it can take 1 week and then we're suddenly late. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, man, just quickly wanted to chime in and highlight one thing. I think that McDonald's, they announced their collaboration with Doodles, and I don't know if I got it correctly, but I think that I heard that someone said that this is about probably doodles will be like doodle figures, like toys. They will be adding those toys into Happy Meals. And just imagine like how quickly everything can be changed. Like if dozens of millions of kids around the globe will be like touching those toys and asking their moms and dads like what is that, what is doodles, and their parents will have to answer this question. So their parents will have to go to Google and Google doodle.
Yes,
So
definitely. A brand can be established in a week in 2024. Definitely. And that wasn't possible 15 years ago, where it took huge budgets and huge marketing plans to make something, establish something. Now, if it's the right thing, a week or two, and there's millions of people suddenly. And I'm pretty convinced the same goes with both music NFTs and just something little I want to add to just what MetaRights said. I mean, here we have all the possibilities in the world. So I think it's a matter of thinking a bit broader, which the artists in the web two already are doing too, right? For the last whatever decades, and not think of it in terms of here's an album and here's the first single, here is the second single. Think a little bit broader how we can just make crazy cool experiences for the people.
yeah, man. So yeah, getting creative is another topic, and I would love to host a space like just about creativity and crazy ideas around your drops. Thanks for the idea. Actually, before we will go to Tage and then to Paul and Abel, guys, I wanted to share with you something like monumental. It's literally money. It's like a huge shift in my whole Web3 journey. I decided to separate Art Chain's spaces, Art Chain's brand, from my personal brand, from my personal page. I really want to make it like to add another existence, to this brand, to Art Chains, because Art Chains, in my vision, it's way more than just spaces. It's also a, let's say, collecting uh experience. It's also, I really want to make a collecting machine out of that. Like, it might sound a little bit too aggressive, but like, sometimes I'm really, 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 um like, I'm not satisfied with how much art I can collect, how much time I can put into that. And like, I really want to expand this. Also, I really see Art Chains as a place and space for appreciation, for more appreciation, not only from myself, but I really want to build a team of passionate people who are really passionate about Web3 art, Web3 music, Web3 culture and stuff. And, like, I really want to double down on that. So please drop a follow to our chain's account, guys. I really, really, really encourage you to do so. I really, really encourage you to retweet the post on the Jumbotron, because this is like, I feel like this is my kid. This is my child, and I'm really like, I'm shaking right now because I'm sharing this with you, This account is 1 or 2 weeks old, and, like, I don't know. It's something so new, like a new child. So yeah, this is why I'm rambling so much. It's really important to me. So please drop a follow to our chain's account on top of the space on the Jumbotron. Please retweet it. Please follow it and like it and stuff like this. And wait for us, because I'm preparing a lot of things. We are preparing a lot of things with Caden and Nico, with Tara, with other team members. So yeah, a lot of exciting things will be happening on this account, from this account, and we're down to support worldwide creators. Sorry. Tej, my man, it's your turn. Please go for it.
Man, first of all, congrats, bro. That's big, bro. Let's fucking go. But I think Paul went first, so I'd love to go after him.
Alrighty. Paul.
Yeah, no, yo, it's just absolutely been a really great space. I'm just between jobs, being self-employed. You know what I mean? Maybe some people can relate. Running your artist business is crazy, and yeah, like, it's just moving. It's just keeping us fluid. So these spaces and these conversations are really awesome. But I don't want to take up too much time, because we've got to get to Tej and we've got to get to Abel, my man Abel, as well. I just want to ask people quickly if they are thinking seriously about their artist business in 2024. I'm listening to Michael Saylor talk about the Bitcoin market, and he's saying that over the next 10 years, we are going to see, a really monumental shift in the way that the financials will shape up. And that will mean that the next 10 years will create a lot of opportunities in blockchain. So, with that in mind, after 2034, there will only be 1% of Bitcoin left, which will be available to be mined. So it gives you an idea of where we are in terms of the whole scale of the market, because we know that the dominance of Bitcoin is quite prevalent in the whole cryptocurrency industry, and that tees us up for the Web3 opportunities which trickle down from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, whatever you're using, But the quick point I wanted to make is experience. So I've just said that that there's money coming into this market, that there's available funds and assets to be pulled, and that there's going to be new chains starting like Base and things like that, and they have marketing budgets, right? Optimism has marketing budgets, okay? So if you are thinking seriously about your music in 2024, maybe just, if you've got a notebook to hand, you need to think about, because I think asking myself this question all the time, right? Think about the experience of your music, okay? And it's not about getting 1,000 fans from zero, it's just making a connection with 5 people, okay? And I'm speaking from some level of experience, because I've spent 10 years working in London in the open mic space for poetry, spoken word art, and then, like kind of rap and lyricism and all this kind of stuff, right? I'm a sort of singer-songwriter, sort of more, fluidly now. People might know me for that. I've released maybe like a handful of songs. It's cool. You don't need to know about my music just yet. It's all in the studio. But what I'm saying is I always think about the experience, okay? And if we're making the staying power of our space where we're working in Web3, we want to encourage people to feel like they want to stay there and inhabit that area. Now, obviously, you know, I'm speaking about open mic because that whole space has changed pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, right? And I actually lost a project actively in terms of open mic for the spoken word and the poetry side. But actually, I read the paper the other day, and there's a huge upsurgence across London. I just Googled it now for electronic music open mics. So maybe just Google in your area, is there an electronic music open mic? Okay, and can you go down there and play your tunes? And then, you know, because you're talking about I want people to start thinking about making these authentic relationships, right? These authentic, you know, conversations that just surround the creation of music. And that gives it the meaning and staying power and all this kind of good stuff. And then you want to translate that to something like the metaverse, because we're used to hearing a song on the radio. Oh, I heard that song. And then you'll go online and you'll see that it's got 1 billion views and you'll go, oh, it's an amazing song, because it, you know, sometimes it is a bit like that. I realize that that's a crude example, but sometimes when you see 1 billion views on YouTube, you think to yourself, it must be an amazing song, right? But we want to increase the experience, and then it's something that you can actually control, because if you are attending an electronic music open mic, or if you're getting booked as a performer, you know, people like Nessie are, then that has authority in and of itself. You are representing your music yourself, and then think about how you can represent that music on chain in a way which is authentic. And that's all I wanted to say. Big up to everyone in space, and yeah, we gotta keep it moving. But yeah, appreciate you, Amir, and it's first time joining your space, and I will definitely check out Art Chains because it sounds amazing, mate. And best of luck with it.
My man, thank you so much. And dude, talking about experiences, you know, like probably it's a bit harder. Uh, mm, Probably it's way harder than just to drop a song or a piece of art, you know, or maybe some audiovisual collaboration even. But you know, it's like maybe you have to do something really cool just once in your life to build a name for yourself. So you know, like I'm just encouraging artists to not to be afraid to get creative and to try to think about experiences, because you know sometimes this road is way shorter than, you know, dropping, I don't know, like 100 releases without any feedback, without, you know, appreciation and stuff. So yeah, adding a lot of thinking about experiences for your users behind your music, for your listeners, pardon me, behind your music. It really can be something that will change your life really quickly, just like Songs of Eden said, like maybe in 1 week or something like that. Tej, yeah, I think that your hand just tired, so please go for it.
Oh man, amazing conversation, bro. Like this is exactly why I came into the space for, right? And having listening to all the answers, I still have the same question that I had when I literally joined the space, right? Like, how though? How are we gonna do it? I know we're early. I know we are, like we're grinding every single day. Everybody's, grinding, connecting with people, all these. But how do we do it though? Like I'm gonna bring up a whole nother concept that we literally don't talk about in the space at all. Is that trust me, dude, trust me when I say this. There's a lot of people, a lot of creative people, a lot of people that are willing to invest into music and music only. I've literally seen so many artists who come up with like so much creativity into their music projects. Dude, let me tell you this one project, right? So there's an artist, I'm not sure where he's from. So he made an album, right? And he put it out as a project to get the crowd funded, right? And he literally, I think he made pretty much like $50,000. It doesn't matter how much he made, but what matters is that now that his project is funded, he's taking all his, let's call them collectors, or people who invested in his project. He's taking the people on a journey to, I don't know, fucking Antarctica, like some place where there's icebergs or some shit. He's taking them on a journey, and he's performing his songs on the journey. That shit blew my mind like insane, bro. It's not like it's not like people don't want to invest in music. People are willing to invest in music. They just don't know how, or they don't know that there is a way, which is NFTs. So I feel like this is one of the biggest challenges of Web3 as well. Like, how do we let them know? Like, we're here always, every single day we're meeting people, we're talking to people, we're doing spaces. But I feel like at some point it has become a little like an echo chamber, like it's the same 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people talking to each other, saying, yeah, man, like, keep working. But it's coming from a true place. It's coming from a true place. I don't mean anything negative or anything, you know what I mean? I'm just genuinely curious to know how. Like, are we waiting for a platform? Are we waiting for someone to blow up? Because I'm tired of people coming into the space, all these celebrities, and just bringing the space back to life and dipping out, just bouncing off like nothing happened, and we all lose our hopes, and we're back to square one. You know what I mean? And in fact, it's in the negative. People think it's a scam. People think music NFTs are a scam because of these celebrities, bro. And this is one of the reasons why I think it has to start from within. It has to start. There has to be an artist from the crypto who started from the crypto, or the Web3, who has their roots in Web3, and they're the ones who are gonna be spreading the word of Web3 and NFTs. It's not gonna be an outsider coming into the space saying that this is gonna change the world. But yeah, man, like, how are we gonna get there? I love the conversation when we talk about, the positive sides of, how music NFTs are gonna change the world. But how though? Yeah, that's just been on my mind, like, since day one. And yeah.
Yeah, Tara, please, Tej.
I just need to jump in and say to Tej, just do it. You can ask Max, for example. Max, a couple of months ago, decided to take a lot of artists in a room and make duets, and they made it a blast. Recently, he also created an open call to take people to Bali, artists to Bali, and soon I will want to hear more about the musical Isabel. That for sure Max will tell us more about it. But the fact that is, if you don't have it, just do it and create what you want and what you want to see.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, but yeah, I have so much to say. But we have, I think that Abel was next. Abel, I'm not sure if you want to add to this question from Tej or from previous ones, but please go for it.
Well, I think it's relative to what Tej was kind of getting at. I just wanted to sort of, I guess, point out that, like recently, I did a collaboration, actually a remix. Other people here, Paul and Songs of Eden, and some people were different, kind of involved as well. It's a 9-song album, and I think it got over 3,000 mints all in all, and like this one particular track that I did is almost at 300, which is a lot. That's a lot. I have, over like my span of, being active in NFTs, I've got about 100 collectors that are all connected to my collection. Thank you all. Like, really appreciate it. But, it's interesting to see this one project get so many collectors. I mean, there's maybe a few reasons here. One, it was featured on the Coinbase wallet site as well as on Zora. So I think if you get placed into an area where people are actively looking and they'll find something, you're going to get a lot more traffic across it. Also, the minting price is very, very low, and it's minted on base, so the gas fees are also low. So that's, I think a reason that maybe a lot of people are just decide to mint it, or mint like 11 of them. And I think that that's, it's an interesting experience. It's very new for me. It's very different from the way that I've, other collections that I've been a part of. I've been a part of and this is going to tie into collaboration. I've collaborated with all different kinds of things. Some one-of-ones that have sold on Sotheby's, and really prominent and famous people like Paris Hilton have collected, and then also like larger editions that went to auction and stuff like this. But I think that it's just like there's different ways to do things, and on the what I noticed is on the larger editions, there's less of a connection to who's collecting your music and your art, and there's less of I think some kind of value there that's held. I think when people look at like, well, I've got one of 1,000s of these, they don't feel quite as special. So I think that there's that's one big difference that I've realized, and I think that that can be used to your advantage if you're starting or wherever you are in the process, is to look at how you want to build that base of collectors, fans, listeners, participants, like however you want it to be. I also find that sometimes the people who are collecting at some of the top prices are not the ones that have the most interest or time or energy to be a part of the collection and participate in some of the larger ideas and collaborative NFT collections that I've released. So it's not always to say that that person who wants to be, and do the most and likes it the most is going to be able to pay the most. I think that, we're finding there's a lot of different ways to be connected to the music, but this does give you a very solid digital connection to whatever music that you collect. And I think that that's, a new type of collaboration that's being born through this technology. I've collaborated myself not only with musicians, but other collectors and different, builders and devs in this space. And that's something that's completely new. And I think that as musicians, if we're looking to get outside of the box that we know so well, and that we feel like we're in an echo chamber, a lot of times just have to sort of step out into something absolutely different and new, at least for you. Long before NFTs, that for me was film. And when I found the relationship of music and film, and how appreciative people are for music in their film, that changed the way that I went about making my music, and changed the path of my career that way. I think that it's very similar in the way that I see that people want to interact with our music now. It may not just be somebody who wants to listen to it. They may actually want to kind of be part of the production in a sense. I think songs, you can probably speak to this almost probably the most. I think from my perspective, I've seen your project be one of the most collaborative and sort of immersive interfacing projects, through NFTs out here. But I think that in general, this is kind of what we're, a big part of it. This is a place where you can get connected to music in a way that you haven't been able to before. And I think out of that, the word collaboration means a lot, and it's a two-way road, right? So, also try to choose, wisely who you're collaborating with. Make sure that you can both, put in enough and lift the, and do different parts of whatever it is as well, because I think, the collaboration can also lead to feelings of, somebody's doing all the heavy lifting. But if you step back from that, you're going to learn and to choose who to collaborate with more, and how to do that. The more you do it, and that's the only way to do it, really. Let's get that experience. So, I just wanted to kind of speak to collaboration in different ways. I think that, again, like on this mint that I was talking about that has, a lot of mints, it's a really big collaboration. And, I did my part of it, but also, the other people who were involved in that did their part. Shout out to Losi and Adabody for putting the whole thing together and following up. So I think that it's not something that right when I met Losi or Adabody that I knew that was what we were going to do right on the spot. But keeping those relationships and those connections and building that network is really one of the most biggest values I've found here, and I would definitely throw that into the category of collaboration.
Man, I'm so happy that this space is recording, like for real, because I'm down to drop it as soon as possible on all the platforms where people will be able to find it and listen to it. It's really magical. Um, let me go to one first because yeah, you're waiting for so long, and GM cannot wait to hear from you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so I'm looking at the time. Well, one, I'm listening to everything that everyone's saying, but just looking at the title of the room with music NFTs being alive or dead, the payout ratio, right? Like to me, I think that's kind of like the biggest selling point: being able to name your own price and being able to decide what your music is worth. Um, as a producer, I make instrumentals, and being able to tie my instrumentals to visual art and sell those as digital collectibles, it's a big advantage as a producer. I think that being able to create an audio visual experience for collectors to enjoy goes a long way versus putting instrumentals on DSPs. As a producer, I've never really streamed heavy, and one of the speaking points that I use is I've released 3 music NFTs in the last year. The first one I gave away. The second one I minted on Manifold, and the other one I dropped 2 weeks ago. So in the last year, um, I've picked up 9 collectors for my music NFTs. Off of those 9 collectors, I would have had to stream over 700,000 streams just to make what I made off of 9 collectors. You know what I'm saying? So and these are baby steps and metrics to some of the music NFT artists that are a lot more successful than I am. But just those metrics alone, just knowing, I gave away my first music NFT last year. Since March of this year, I released two different projects. Those 2 projects alone generated what would have equated to over 700,000 streams. So in a matter of 6 months, I was able to do that with 9 collectors. So you don't need hundreds of thousands of listeners. You just need a small amount of loyal collectors. And as someone who's been in the Web3 space for 4 years, but have only been really dropping music NFTs for sale for the last 6-7 months, I think that I've been a music NFT collector. I've been an NFT collector. I see the value in digital assets. I see the value in digital collectibles. And I think that music NFTs is one of those things where it took longer to gain momentum because nobody really understood the value of the music, right? Because we've been conditioned, or not we, but society has been conditioned to think that music should be free, right? With the way that the streaming platform infrastructure is set up, with the way that the iTunes digital download infrastructure is set up, they've really created this disconnect in the value of music. And I think that what NFT or music Web3 musicians really need to focus on is the niche collector, the people that understand the value of collecting vinyl, the people that understand sneaker collectors, people that understand that even though there's maybe not a tangible aspect, there's still a collectible value asset, and that's the big hook here. The hook is finding out how to add more to your music to make it more valuable. So whether it's creating visual content for it, whether it's creating unlockable content for it, whether it's pairing it to metaverse experience, augmented reality experience, just finding these different ways to attach more value to your music, where it's like I kind of like always use this analogy of the bonus or the deluxe editions, you know, where it's like sometimes they give you a couple of more records, sometimes they'll give you the remixes, they'll give you the instrumentals, the acapellas, the, you know, the digital booklet, the behind the scenes content, the making of the album. You know, there's so much more value that we can add to these music NFTs to make them more of a collector's item. And I think that one of the things that Abel said made a lot of sense as far as making it smaller, curated collections. You know, I don't do big music drops. I tend to make the music a little more scarce, so that way there's a scarcity value to it as well. You know, not dropping hundreds or thousands copies, but you know, like with my first drop, it was 1 of 10. With my last drop, it's 1 of 25. So that way, it's more that scarcity value just incentivizes people to want to be one of those collectors. You know, so however people are doing it, there's no right or wrong way. I just want more people to be here and take advantage of the opportunities that musicians have in this space.
Yeah, man. First of all, nice to meet you, and second of all, oh man, we have so much to say, and I love this concept. I know that a lot of us were speaking about this concept. Like, you don't have to have like like a million of listeners. Instead of that, you will have way more value from I don't know, like a couple of hundreds people who are truly supporting you. But you know, like one thing is still sticking in, like it's stuck in my head. I mean, we are all, as creators, as artists, we have a huge ego, most of us, most in most of cases, you know, we really, we leave fame, you know. Like for most of us, success is fame. And yeah, of course we can make a living without making, without being famous. But like, you can argue with me, guys, feel free, but I really feel that all the artists are like egoists, not in the bad way, you know. Just it's a fact. We want to express ourselves so bad, so we are even creating something and putting it outside, putting it out, you know, and promoting it and trying to make people sure that we are really great, you know, and stuff like this. So it's like, in my opinion, it's just natural. I'm not, you know, like I'm not me. I don't mean any bad things. I think it's like who we are, and this is maybe this is one of the problems that we should learn on how to overcome. We have Songs of Eden with hand raised, and also I wanted to cheer up Metamorphics, our third co-host, GM. My friend, how are you doing?
GM, what a spicy, passionate conversation. I don't want to interrupt with all these hands up. So let's get through to the hands and then you can get back to me later. But I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm happy to be here.
Let's go. So we have Songs of Eden with hand raised, please, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Tish said. I think I totally understand your feeling 100%, but and this might sound unfair, me already kind of being lucky to have music as a living. But for me, if I can take it from my perspective, I think it's kind of what kind of energy you come in with in, let's take X Spaces as an example. One, either you think of it as I'm going to make a living and sell something, but at the end of the day, everybody we're spending time with, as Tish said, are doing kind of the same thing. So it's almost like Elon Musk trying to sell his Tesla only to Henry Ford and Mercedes, which maybe he will sell 2 Teslas, but then it's kind of ends there. So and I think for me it's more kind of enjoying 2 things, and it's just all the creative people and the future thinking people who I'm hanging out with, and then all the friends I made. So, and I basically try to build for the future, and instead of trying to make it as a living at this point, which is possible, but honestly, the only one I know is Violetta, really, who is making a living out of music NFTs. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there are 5, maybe there are 10, maybe there are 20 people, but that's kind of the way it is. And then about the other subject, I just want to add real quick. I love the phrase "power of and." I think there is room for a lot of things, like art. There were both the Picassos and there is the art on the napkins, right? Both with music NFTs or music in general. There is the rare vinyl jazz record that two people want to spend $1 million on, and then there is all kinds of different music, and there's room for a lot of people to be creative. So kind of just think broader, and power of and is one of my mottos in life.
I also think, like, quickly wanted to jump in. I think that, like, um, pushing the borders, pushing the boundaries. It's not like many of times it just sounds, too loud, a little bit too loud. Like sometimes it sounds too hard. But in many cases, like when I've been working as a creative director in a couple of companies, like in many times, you don't have to, I don't know, to do some rocket science. Sometimes you just need to look from the new point of view, and that's it. And I just wanted to, to drop this insight to encourage people to not to be to inspire people a little bit here. Like most of the times you don't need to, I don't know, to build a Tesla, to build a rocket, and to send it to Mars or something like that. Sometimes you just need to change the perspective and just just combine things that are not regularly being combined, and that's it. Dan, please.
So I wanted to address Tej's question, and the big thing is to like you just said it. Whoever was just speaking, I think it was maybe Amir, that you have to get out of your neighborhood. You have to get out of your cluster and solve a problem that nobody else is solving in a particular way. So one of the things that I used to do all the time, and this is what I was posting about. I would always go to music conferences, and I'm a film composer. That was my first job of many careers, and before I got into education, I was going to like the ASCAP conference and BMI stuff and Taxi and all these things in like the early 2000s to try and understand and make connections in the music industry in LA and New York and Nashville. And I just, it was the same grind that everybody else was doing. So what I realized is like, all right, if I want to get into film music, I'm going to have to stop hanging out with composers, and I'm going to have to just, have that be my home base and have that be where I re-energize and where I recuperate. But then I've got to exert, I've got to, kind of go out of my comfort zone, step outside the neighborhood, so to speak. And then, I ended up going to film conferences for directors and for actors and, all the other people in the film industry. And that's where I finally, was able to get attached to some films. So that's the big idea is I kind of I posted a little AI generated image of this whole idea of clustering. And we tend to like likeness. We like the sameness, and we like comfort, and that's great to be able to, this, I feel really good, and I feel re-energized for finding this whole group of people passionately talking about this. And then, then it's time for me to go exert and go back to my teaching moment of the day, where, I'm trying to normalize split sheets in like kindergarten, and get that whole idea of collaboration going at a young age. That's how I'm deciding, like, nobody else is doing this. All right, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find the thing nobody else is doing to solve the problem I know that is out there. So you said, Tej, and this is where I want to land in cadence, is that you said, what do we do? Wait for a platform? No! You make the platform! You do the thing! You find the people, and then you be yourself. So that's where I'm going to land.
Just to add something super quick to that, so I think from the, I think close to 1,000 holders we have in the MIDI punks, very few are actually musicians. So I mean, it's super fun to hang out with Tesh. I love to do that and talk like we are doing now, but throw yourself out there or jump up in a space with other kinds of people without trying to sell something, because that's just the wrong way to go about it. Basically having a dinner party at your home where everybody's trying to sell you something, that wouldn't be the best dinner party, I guess. So just wanted to add that. Super sorry if I interrupted.
Tej, it's your turn.
Damn. Man, I love that, bro. Like one of the biggest reasons that made me question this is so I was talking to my friend the other day, right? He knows jack about NFTs and Web3. Um and and this is what I do like every single day, when I'm traveling or when I'm at a family reunion or whatever. I just tell people, go around explaining what NFTs are, how that they're cool and what we do with that and shit. So usually I get bullied, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But one of my friend really he kind of got my attention, right? So I was talking about how music NFTs are going to be a thing. He's also a producer. So I was talking to him about how music NFTs are going to be the next big thing. And after listening to everything that I said, what he said, bro, it's amazing. Like it sounds totally awesome. Like if you're a creator, it definitely sounds so cool. There's so many opportunities for your creativity to like just go wild. But at the same time, it sounds terrible for an average person to get into it. You know what I mean? If a total newbie, for example, my grandpa, or even my uncle, if you want to buy my NFT, how is it gonna get into the space? I mean, I'm not just saying that to be funny, but I'm just saying that there are a lot of barriers, bro. Like there's a lot of entry barriers, one of the biggest ones being the knowledge barrier. Like, even as an artist, right? I had to learn a lot of things just to be able to understand what people were talking on the spaces or what they were posting about, right? Now, why would my friend do that? Why would he be on Twitter instead of TikTok? Scrolling through the website and learning what NFT is, what it's a smart contract is, right? But I do feel that, right? Like we are at that baby steps. And I appreciate, Dan, Eden, and literally everybody. Everybody was jumping on, being so passionate. And this is what I love about the space, bro. Nobody, especially in the music NFT space, they don't give up. They don't fucking give up. I literally know a guy who got scammed in the fucking space and he's still going because he digs the culture, not the money. I mean, he probably came in for money, but he's stuck for the culture, bro. Um, but I appreciate you, Dan. Of course, Eden as well, of course, and everybody, every single artist, every single person in Web3, and also Amir for for this beautiful platform, bro. Having said that, I do have to go because your boy's from India. It's 2:30 a.m. in the morning, bro. So I gotta go to bed now. But it's been amazing, bro. It's been amazing, amazing talking on your space. And good luck, good luck, good luck with Artsy as well. I appreciate everybody for bearing with me. Also, dude, I want to argue with you, bro. Let's fucking argue that I'm not in this game for fame, bro. not even not even an inch. Because I am a shy guy, right? I am a shy guy. I'm terrible at talking.
Yeah, we can notice it for
I
sure.
know, right? Bro, I'm the president of the United States of introverts, right? And I do not want a million people looking at my face because, like, I don't know where my hands are gonna go, and that's why I love Web3 is because you don't need it. Like, if you were in Web2, if you were posting, you know, covers on Instagram Reels, you need million followers to in order to make a living, a decent living. But one of the biggest things that really, really stuck in my heart about Web3 is that having those true 1,000 fans. If you found your tribe, if you have found your tribe of 1,000 people, you could literally make a living. Because imagine, right? It's not realistic for everybody, every artist to have a million fans. There's only so many fans in the world, and there's so many artists. It's not realistic to have millions of fans for every single artist, bro. And yeah, having said that, I am not in for fame. I get scared when people look at me. So that's one of the
Okay,
reasons
Tej,
why I love
we are
space.
all looking at you now. You didn't
Hell no, I'm
appreciate
different.
Smart
me,
move.
but I,
Smart
I
move.
will I will
I'm
answer
different.
I will answer you. How do you get your grandpa, your uncle, your friends into NFTs? You help them to mint their first NFT and show them how it's done. That's how you can do it.
And
What
man,
about my ex, bro? I haven't talked to her.
oh, dude, this goes harder. But what I wanted to say, build narratives, like building proper narratives and spreading them. Like most of the times, in my personal opinion, it requires just time and consistency. But even your ex can go there after you will build a proper narrative. So, but it's like a topic for another space. And we also have, yeah, Tej, sorry, we interrupted you, even though you are not a co-host, but man, it's like a part of the culture. Sorry for that.
Let's make
This is
Tesh
how
a
we do it.
celebrity. That's the mission that coming up.
Exactly. And now Songs of Eden is interrupting me, and I'm happy for that because like we're keeping the culture alive, and we have one with hand raised. One, please go for it.
Yeah, so in the regards of how to get your music to people that to quote unquote normies, I think that onboarding is definitely important. But another thing that you can do is like I've even for some people I've done off chain transactions where I'll help them set up a wallet and just airdrop them the NFT and they'll pay me in fiat. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't always have to be an on-chain transaction. There's multiple ways. I mean, ordinarily you would want the metadata and all of those things like that. But just so we're clear, I think that it's just as hard for Web 2 musicians to make music as it to make music the right way, excuse me, than it is for collectors in Web 3 to come in here. I know a lot of Web 2 artists. They don't properly register their music. They don't sign up for ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, Sound Exchange, Harry Fox, all of the royalty collecting services. Um, so to put your music on a streaming platform where all you're getting is 0.003 cents per stream without getting your royalties, without uploading your music the proper way, without adding the metadata and all of these different ways, it's actually just as hard to make music in Web 2 the right way than it is to make a music NFT. It's actually easier to make a music NFT than it is to put out music the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's frustrating because there's times where, as a producer, sometimes I work with an artist, and I'm like, all right, well, where do where's how are we registering the music? And they're like, oh, I'm putting it on TuneCore. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm asking you. Like, how are we doing the splits? And then it's like looking at deer in headlights because they don't understand how to actually put out their music the right way. So, it's one of those things where it's going to be hard either way, right? You have to pick your difficulty, pick your struggle. You know what I'm saying? Would you rather struggle with trying to figure out the logistics of registering your music properly and then marketing your music and creating ads and doing the Web 2 way, or creating a wallet, learning how to mint the wallet, learning wallet security, and then just finding your tribe and connecting with the audience? Because realistically, it's hard either way. Surviving and feeding yourself off of your art is going to be a struggle no matter how you do it. You have to pick your struggle. But if you put enough energy into it, if you're authentic, and if people resonate with you and and what you create, then it makes it a little easier. You know what I'm saying? Because when people want to support you, they're going to support you, even if it means that they have to open up a MetaMask wallet, They have to open up a Coinbase account and figure out how to load the. It's no different than downloading iTunes for an old person. Downloading iTunes and adding your debit card information to create a monthly subscription and then find your songs on that streaming platform and then bookmarking it and saving it. It's just as complicated. It's maybe it's just a different learning curve, but it's for an old person, for a not music savvy old person to figure out how to operate iTunes. And I know old people that can't figure out how to operate Uber until you download the app for them and you show them. You know, at the end of the day, it's onboarding them onto Web2 music and showing them how to sign up for a subscription is no different than helping them set up a wallet, load it. It's maybe a couple of extra steps, you know, and it's not like they're gonna go clicking a bunch of links and connecting their wallet to a bunch of shit. They just want to support you. So it's onboarding is the number one way to get your people to support you.
Man, I love this perspective because it's so refreshing. You know, like I got used to do all of those things so much, so I don't even think about it. But you know, like going a little bit outside of my bones in my head, you know, like it's like wow, man, like it's for real. Like 10 years ago, I had zero ideas how to link my card into some mobile application on Google Play or on App Store. Like zero ideas. It was so hard and tough. But yeah, Abel, please.
Yeah, I totally, and you know, I think that if you have been around for a while, you've seen things change, and I just I totally agree with what you're saying, one, and I just wanted to paint a little picture, you know, because like in the beginning of digital distribution, I think that it was hard to sort of know where to promote yourself because people either were using iTunes or Spotify. You know, it's not one thing. So now, you know, you had to say, okay, well, I'm going to tell these people, whoever you know uses this, they go listen over here, and then you know whoever listens this over there. And I think that it's even more complicated with NFTs because if you're going to collect one, you need to start a wallet, you know, and not a lot of people have wallets right now, but every day there's more and more. So, you know, the thing that's going to happen is, you know, people will start to say, you know, when you ask them, well, do you have a wallet? They'll probably say yes, you know, more and more. Like it's pretty, you know, I think as that part becomes more accessible, then it'll make what we're doing a little bit easier because, you know, it doesn't matter what wallet you have. You can collect NFTs with any wallet. So, you know, the fact that we're using protocols and technology and blockchains to distribute the music, I think is really a better way to do it in a sense. But it's just very difficult right now because if somebody that asks me about my music and NFTs and they're not already somewhat familiar with crypto, it does, you know, it takes a lot to get them to do that. So I think that again we're seeing a lot of apps start, you know, wallets with emails right now, which is kind of a quick, you know, way to do it. I think that in general people are, you know, it's easy to associate, well, I have this email and okay, there's this number that's now associated to that, rather than here's a new random number that I'm not going to be able to remember and I don't know where to put the secrets and all of that stuff. So I think it's just going to get a little bit easier as, you know, we see just blockchain and crypto get more adopted in other ways. And, you know, people then will say, well, what else can I do on here? You know, I think right now the main attraction is money, you know, it's trading and money and this, you know, how do I become part of that? You know, and I think that once you become part of that, you go, well, what else can you do here? You know, and you start to realize, well, okay, there's music, there's, you know, there's that, there's art, there's, you know, a lot of things. I've even gotten shoes from, you know, on Web3. So I think you know, that it's just very abstract to, you know, somebody's, I think, world who's not already interested in this right now. It will become easier though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Tara, please.
Yes, about the email address, I was about to say exactly that. Anyone that has a Gmail account already have a Tezos wallet, so it's easier easier than that. It's hard, so there's no barrier on the part of the wallet. Songs of Vida.
Yeah, and actually, I think that I'm like the whole space. I'm trying to bring this idea, like verbally. For example, you have Kukai wallet on Tezos, and you can actually mint NFTs without creating wallets. You just need your Gmail, or I don't know, like any email that you have, and this is how you can collect your NFTs. And then once you will be ready, or once you will be willing to claim your NFTs, you're creating your wallet on chain. So yeah, it's like a lot of things are happening. People are like developers are. They understand the problems, and they are trying to build something to make our lives easier and stuff like this. So I'm pretty excited about about the future in the next 5 years, for example, because even for the last 2 3 years we achieved quite a lot. I mean, in terms of com- in terms of comfort, in terms of UI and UX. So yeah, Songs of Eden, and after that we will start wrapping up the space. But we will have to terrorize Max a little bit about his job before that. Yeah, please go for it, my friend.
Super happy to see Max, first of all. It's been a while. Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what one said. If you want something, you will figure it out, right? So it kind of comes down to the product. And I would personally like to have a bit less conversations about like the tech part, because at the end of the day, we have no clue what the back end of Spotify or how an Uber works or how our MasterCard works. We don't care. We just use it because we want to buy milk or we want to drive somewhere. So it comes down to what we provide, and if it's cool and good enough, people will figure it out. And at the end of the day, maybe not even care. Like we had a good sale for the Touch Some Grass mint that was more credit card purchases than crypto. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Let's go. I love this. Yeah, I love this.
And also, Amir, let me keep the culture and take the chance to mention.
Yeah, of course, sir. Please do it.
Oh, of
I
course.
don't
Thank
have
you.
any problems with that for sure. Please.
Just to mention the payment systems that are out there, we can use, for example, iTest to pay with credit card and mint the NFTs and many other solutions. So just taking that hook.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of marketplaces, I mean, NFT marketplaces, they also already added like an option of paying by card. So it's way, 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 way easier than like 2 years ago. By the way, Max, my friend, please, we need to hear more about, again, about what you're building. Yeah, I know that you explained that. Of course, I know that you explained that in the very beginning of the space, but like 2 hours passed, and if you are okay with that, to share a little bit more, like what are you building? Because I think that many new people come to the space through this 2 hours. Please, man, do it, and let me know what should we pin on top of the space. Like, what's up?
For the musical.
The auditions in 2 months. No, fuck, I wish. So yeah, but good conversation all around. I'm very happy that like everybody had their point across, and I was listening the whole time, which usually I kind of doze off and just like drift. But I really was. I really just paid attention to everything and trying to see everybody's takes, and like, because I mean, a lot of you have been in spaces before, but I don't think we've had this conversation with a lot, except for songs. Definitely had this conversation with songs, but everybody else, I don't think I've heard like their takes on this. So cool. It was really nice. Oh right. I'm working on the Nouns musical. That's like what's taking up all my. I was editing a reel while you guys were talking. That's like what's taking my whole time right now. we started working on it for 7 months now, and 7 months ago the idea kind of came from a tweet, and it was a tweet that said that Nouns basically has been wanting to make a musical for a very long time, and they just didn't know how to do it. And Pastel, who I think you all know, Leo Pastel, actually is the one that tagged me on that tweet and said, I don't know, he says, I don't know much about musicals, but you can but talk to Max. He might be able to help. And we got on a call, and that's basically how it started. 7 months later, we have now fully have the story from beginning to end, and we are waiting for the approval of the grant, basically, to start the script. But it's going really well, and I'm very excited about it, so thanks.
Second. So, Max, that sounds awesome, and I'm excited to hear more about it because I've been watching from the sidelines. Would you say that this is a example of Web3 collaboration?
Yes, I definitely would. Yeah, good to hear from you, Abel. By the way, it's I think it is in its purest form. I think the cool part, what really drove me to do this is that I was already working on 2 musicals before this project, and I had to drop one to work on this project. And I think that the main thing in my head was, if I'm gonna spend the next 2.5 years, 3 years writing this, I'm like, does it speak to me as much as the musicals that I've been working on? And I think that, like, the excuse I've been waiting for is a way for me to do my Web 2 job in Web 3, and this is the best excuse I've ever had. So this is it. It was really a dream come true.
Yeah, totally, man. And it kind of sounds like it. And the more you talk about it, the more it sinks in. I've grew up in like a theater world, and so I'm anyways, I'm not a musical person myself, but I've been around it, and I really like. I do like some, but I just in general, I'm like, okay, like the writing, it's just hard to take sometimes, because it's a lot of them are like really saccharine, cheesy. But now I think, like, if you look at musicals, right, like it's a pretty old world. It's like, okay, you're looking at getting on Broadway or doing, where's your goals at, right? And so in these new fields, like that, music is a part of, and musicals being one of them. Now, I mean, not being a new field, but like musicals comes into this new field of technology, Web3, and it's going to find some funding. And that's a huge part that's really difficult in the traditional world, where do you go to get your musical produced, or, funds to write something? And I think that we saw a lot of stuff kind of change with crowdfunding and, the advent of like Kickstarter and different platforms that allow crowdfunding. I'm really interested in the way that Web3 and technology is sort of changing that, making it more easy. I think your project is an example of somebody who's been here long enough, and you know how to operate, that you saw an opportunity. Actually, you created one, and you took the chance, to make it happen. And you're finding that alignment, and I think that there's going to be more of it. That might, you're probably a leader in that case. Like, I've never heard of another NFT Web3, musical. But I think if you look at that as an example, there is going to be a lot more of different things, right? I've made film, and looking at, how do I bring film into this world more, and different ideas like that, longer form content. That's a different challenge, it's a whole different way of looking at something. But if you get to the point where a lot of these things productions are become shows, and shows become ticketed. And I think that, if you have a global audience, if you don't have a local audience for what you're doing, this technology starts to make a lot more sense. Not just for a gated ticket, but like also to know who's been to what, how many have they been to, stuff like that. That's really interesting social stats to track and reward through. I think that it'll be really interesting to see what you come up with, and how your project unfolds coming up. But I think it's really unique and it's really interesting, and just appreciate having a moment here to like chat with it. I kind of agree that some of these topics feel old, especially if you've been here for a while and you've been trying things and you've seen the ups and the downs. And we can rewind all the way back to, let's say, Mint songs or something like that, where it's a huge platform. There's thousands of songs, minted on it, and it kind of folds. Now we're seeing this transition sort of happen with Sound XYZ, and so it's very deflating. But I think if you look at what's been built with community-wise, right? Like you're rocking an Azuki, if I'm not mistaken. I've got an Oni. There's these PFPs aren't just necessarily pictures, but they're communities, and it might not be that particular community is one that's going to boost you up and pay for your dreams to manifest, but talking to people, getting to know people, and finding opportunities is huge. And that's a huge part of making a career out of music, especially if you want to do something different. I think that it would be cool to hear like more about that sort of, pathway and how that connected. But that's definitely a different space. And maybe, when you're at a different time or whatever and have more capacity, can explain more of that. Because I think your knowledge is probably helpful for a lot of people. I do see, Amir, you've got a lot of people here, like it's been a cool space. And, I think that, I just wanted to shout that out for a second there, and, not to dive down too much, but just point that out too. Like, you're opening new doors and ways to get things funded that, have been hard in the past and more difficult traditionally. So, that's a very unique thing about collaborating, I think, with Web3.
So I'm with you on everything. I think it's just the different. I think so. The one thing that stayed. Let's bring up community first. The one thing that stayed, and the only reason I stayed, is because of the community. So at the end of the day, you're right. Whether it is because of Azuki, whether it is because of whatever community you kind of just fell into when you started going into this, community has always been at the forefront. So for me, it's like at the end of the day, I already had my job before coming into Web3. So the money aspect was there because it was a cool new way of making money. That's what was interesting, but not the actual money part of it, because we weren't making that much money anyways. And so community 100%, and I think that like that's for me. I think the only, to be honest, it's the only reason I'm still here is because of you guys. It's because I still see you guys active doing things, and for me that inspires me. And for the fact that I don't see it in my real life, that's what like is more important for me. Fuck. Oh yeah. Okay. How does funneling of community into the Web3 and Web2 gig? But to be honest with you, I'm gonna take zero credit for that, because there is nothing that I did. The only thing that I did that was different was being able to. No, the only thing that I did, it wasn't different. The only thing that I did was being able to tell a story properly. That's it. The only thing that I did was being able to look at my story in a macro perspective and be like, okay, how do I tell this in a way that's cohesive and makes sense from beginning to end, so that if somebody that has no idea what Web3 is, NFTs, any of this, walks into the theater, comes out of it with a bare minimum, but without thinking about it. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is writing a musical based off a Web3 project that, for people that have no idea what we're talking about, walk in and find the origin of those glasses from nouns and understand the story from beginning to end without having any knowledge about crypto or Web3. That said, none of this is even possible without, if we talk about community and we talk about nouns, now we're really talking about community. Because Azuki, all these things, those are cool. And don't get me wrong, I would never shit on them, because I think that they're the basis of how all of this started. I think that the communities within crypto, whether they started from greed or not, at the end of the day, that's how crypto started. It was just, well, no, it's how NFT started. Crypto, but it's the same concept in a sense. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum, when they first started, it was just a bunch of nerds that loved the concept of creating something new. it's the same thing. And so when NFT started and when all these PFPs and all this became a thing, nouns, the only thing that they thought of differently, they were like, the only thing we don't, they were actually, it was directly because of CryptoPunk, and it was because CryptoPunks were focusing on things that didn't matter, and also weren't giving full IP rights, and we're at the beginning of it at least. And so all these things they were doing a lot of things that were like that didn't really make sense, and so nouns kind of focused on that, and we're like, you know what? We're going to do exactly the opposite. And they're like, we're going to do everything for everybody else and nothing for us. And that's what it is. It's literally a project. For those of you that don't know what Nouns is a project for the past 3 years that's been minting an NFT a day. Okay? That NFT sells for about, from a range of, let's say, 1.5 ETH to, it could range up to 10 ETH or 9 ETH. And the funds from that NFT, and that's like back in the day. Now it's a little bit smaller, obviously, because it went down. But the funds from that NFT go into a fund, and anybody that has an idea and that could basically that has an idea that propels the IP of nouns. So if you have an idea that can push the IP of nouns, you can you can present your project, be a part of the community, and if they really feel like you are adding something to nouns and adding to the IP, then they will approve basically your grant or not. But it depends. But the concept is simple and it's cool. They proved the concept so well. It started off as a tweet. They said, what if we had a DAO where obviously everything's decentralized, but it basically was fun. It helps people fund projects, and it helps art grow and artists grow as much as they can. And the tweet went crazy. In the next month, I think it took them like, I think, a month to set up. Like, they spent like an original, like, I forget, like 100K on the, like, from their own money on the like the original platform, and then after that it kind of blew up. And because everybody understands the statements, and I think that that's the real power of community. When we go back to community, that's, for me, was like, after so much talk and so much like bullshit in these echo chambers, and everybody talking about the same things, when I realized what that stood for, I was like, okay, not only it's not just an NFT project. If Azuki would have asked me to do this musical, I would have said no. If they are asking me to do it, then yes. Why? Because it actually stands for something good. And I think that that's the biggest difference, is that there's very few players in the space that stand for something good. Sorry, I went on a rant. Jesus Christ.
It was it was really nice from you to explain the whole concept of nouns, sorry, and like of your whys. In my opinion, it's like this is why I personally value spaces on X so much, because sometimes things are going really like crazy and unexpected ways, and you can learn things that you would never even expect and hope to learn. And like, for example, I know knowns, like, but what I know about knowns, like, literally nothing. Like, those I know just they are quite popular and cool, and they have those glasses, and that's it. But yeah, like, I learned for free, man. And to me, like, it really makes a lot of sense. It's not like a rambling or something like that. To me, it's of pure value, and I really appreciate it so much, man. Yeah, if you want to add something, please go for it.
Although I think I spoke for a month. I'm good. Thank you, man.
Okay, now
That's
you
fine.
can sing.
Jesus.
Yeah, sing us a song about it, Max. Are you ready to?
Guys, like, before we will wrap up the space, I really wanted to quickly jump back to our third co-host, Metamorphics. And like, she's trying to hide a few things from us all, but I will not let her do so. Give me a second. Let me pin something on top of the space right now in front of you all, and please check this out. And her story, actually, uh, her story is answering a lot of questions here we heard today. And I think that the biggest question was how to make something, let's say, interesting and big and and cool, using like Web3. And I think that Metamorphics is a great example of how to get creative because please fix me, my friend, if I'm getting like wrong or something like that. But I think that you used Web3 as your canvas for experiments, like a lot of experiments. You find, let's say, your style. I'm not sure if you did, but this is how I see from my perspective, from a side. And after that, she went to some other, let's say, areas and found something completely different from Web3, but she mixed what she achieved here, and she put her Web3 experience and content and results and art into the Web2 space. And this is what we see right now after that on top of the space. Check this out. And Metamorphics, please fix me if I messed up. Oh my God, no, please let me shut up and please share us a little bit like of the backstory of this project and how is it going.
No, I mean, you kind of like summarized it pretty well, and thank you for bringing it up. I really appreciate it. You've always been like so supportive since day one, and that just really means a lot to me because it's been a long journey. But before I even say anything, I just want to say I think this has been one of the best spaces ever that you've had. The people here, the conversation, even though I came late, I just loved listening to everybody talk. And I could just feel how passionate and informative all of this was. And even though I'm not a musician myself, I was able to resonate with a lot. So the conversation was just so good. And I hope you guys do more of these because clearly there's stuff to talk about. Um, During the conversation, I can't remember if it was Max or who was speaking that brought up collaborations, and that's exactly what I did when I came into this space. In the beginning, it was kind of like people made it feel back in the early 2021, 22 days, people made it feel like you had to be Web3 exclusive. Like, this is Web3, we're not going to Web2, yada, yada, yada. And it almost made you feel like you can't pursue opportunities outside of Web3 once you're locked in. And that's what I believed for the longest time. And then so much stuff changed, evolved, we experimented with new things. And I got to a point where I was like, man, fuck this shit. This shit's not making me any money. I mean, it did, but like Max said, that shit don't pay the bills, which for me it was whatever because I'm not relying on Web3 to pay my bills. So it didn't really, I didn't lose any sleep over it. But I was like, I need to figure out how to take all this stuff that I've learned and what can I do to like use it to make money in the real world. And so the more people that were like hating, especially on AI, because that's where I really put my focus in was AI, and the more people that shit on AI in this space, it was like my fuel every single day. And I was like, I'm gonna prove all you motherfuckers wrong. So I'd come into the space and there'd be all this drama, and I'm like, you guys are just fueling me. I would just retreat, I would perfect my craft, I would work on my stuff, and I would seek out opportunities. So I was like, I'm gonna prove all of you wrong one day. And so that's kind of like how it started was I knew that I didn't know what I had to do, but I had to do something. I had to keep trying new things. And then it led to me taking what I learned in Web3, the people that I met in Web3, and transitioning that and kind of bridging the gap between Web3 and Web2, and which led to this collaboration with Revolve. I'm sure many of you guys probably have heard of it or shopped on there at some point. And from that, that opened up even more opportunities and more doors. So in a way, it's like even like an onboarding type thing where people ask me about this collaboration, I can explain the story about Web3 and how it was Web3 that like brought me here. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's pretty like cool. I'm super excited. I haven't really announced shit. I just kind of posted quietly and let it be. I didn't really talk about it at all. I'm just, letting it be. But yeah, I don't know what else I should say. I'm kind of rambling.
Yeah, and this is why we are here, like to not to let you drop this quietly and then just leave. Huh, that's funny. That's funny. Not with us. Not with us. Yeah. I will definitely bombard you with DMs to share more about that, maybe on Space, maybe in some other format. But like expect it, and feel free to block to block DMs because they will be annoying. Because this story really deserves a lot of, I think, a lot of talks, a lot of discussions and stuff, because it's it's really like answers a lot of questions. And sometimes when I'm thinking about stories like this one, I'm thinking that probably bridging Web 2 and Web 3 is way easier than we used to think. Mm, like conceptually, yeah, we have a lot of hurdles, like a lot of obstacles and stuff, but to be honest, sometimes, like many times, the road is way closer, way shorter than we used to think. Guys, before we will wrap up the space, I wanted to remind you, please check out the pinned tweet on top of the space, because just like I said earlier, I'm separating Art Chain's brand from my personal brand, and I really want Art Chains to be bigger than myself. I don't want it to depend from myself, from my um, personal time. So our chains will keep on growing on this account that you can see on top of the space. So please drop it a follow. Please retweet it. Please share this news with your people, because I'm trying to really build something bigger, like that I can do myself, because I really want to collect more. I really want to curate more art. I really want to host more spaces, with probably maybe with different hosts. I really want to write more about art, about music on chain. About great use cases. I mean, I really want to do more interviews, and it's just impossible when you are alone. So this is why I decided to separate the brands, the Art Change brand, from my personal brand. Um, Before we will wrap up the space, I wanted to double check if Nico is not sleeping yet.
No, I'm wide awake. I've been listening the whole way through. Uh, some really, really interesting points have been risen. Yeah, it's been a really interesting space. A lot of it I do resonate with, same as Meta. And yeah, I feel that I'm hoping that everyone else who was hopefully listening also took some value from what was said today. I do actually just want to throw this in there.
Please.
I do feel that musicians should actually start exploring platforms, and here I use the word platform, not marketplace, like Drip. I think it's an excellent tool to use to onboard people onto what you are doing. My little one onboarded all his teachers plus his whole class onto Drip to go and support him on his channel. And it's as easy as having an email. I do not know who mentioned it, but someone mentioned emails. Yeah, unfortunately, the rest of the world is not in NFT rainbow crypto land, still use emails for everything they do. So Drip actually makes that whole onboarding process super duper easy. Luckily, other platforms do support credit cards, so they also provide custodial wallets. So we've used that as well in the past for onboarding. But yeah, Drip is definitely worthwhile checking out, especially if you're trying to build a audience who is Web3. What is the word I'm looking for? Sorry, it's been a very long 48 hours for me. So my English is failing, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, everyone, thank you for joining us. It's been an amazing space as usual.
Nico, thank you so much for mentioning Drip. Yeah, really, as a collector, I really enjoyed the experience of collecting art and music collectibles on Drip. So yeah, definitely check this out, and soon you will have some news from my end. I will not drop any more alpha for now, but yeah, Tara, you wanted to add something?
I already said what I need to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So yeah, guys, in the very end of the space, I cannot resist this feeling. I cannot resist this feeling to not to shield my wife's artworks. Please check out her art. She's my favorite photographer, not just because she's my wife, but I really love the the emotions she's bringing with her art. And I love how she said once that she's capturing silence in her photography, and I could not like formulate and articulate it better, because when you see her artworks, you are really like you are staying alone with yourself. So I'm pretty happy to to shield her, to have this opportunity to to bring her art in front of your eyes, and I'm really proud of her. She's active on Object, on on Tesla's blockchain, on Solana, and on AVAX. And the piece that you can see on top of the space right now, it's on AVAX. So please feel free to check her account, show some love. Feel free to follow her and check her link tree. Yeah, guys. Again, thank you so much for the space. It was a truly incredible journey. I would call it like that, because I felt like going through a lot of a lot of countries and cities of different perspectives. Like it's so complicated still. I mean, this space, uh so many people, so many problems, but yet so many opportunities, and it's still so exciting. Like in the very end, I wanted to add quickly, why am I here? I think it's because of this feeling, that it's like a forgotten feeling from the mid of 2000s. Do you remember when we had forums, like the websites where you can register and you can chat with people in different, like threads, let's say, in different areas of this forum, sub forums. And back then I felt like internet is a community building thing. But then we had all the social medias like Facebook, Instagram, and etc., etc. And after that, like in the last decade, I never ever felt this feeling of community at all online. I mean, like I thought that it's dead like forever, because it's like I couldn't even imagine how we can bring it back. And I was so shocked when I joined this Web3 space and started, like digging deeper, what's going on, what's up. And I found this sense of community is back, and I still feel like I brought something like super valuable back in my life, and this is why I'm here, probably. And I'm really happy and grateful to all of you for to keep this all alive and keep this all a reality. So yeah, thank you so much. Like personally, just like I always do, I wanted to personally say thanks to everyone. Caden and Nico, Terra Bitcoins, Meta Rights, Songs of Eden, Paul, Max, Abel, Metamorphic, Staya, Zion Taxi, Prism, Atiko, Cosmonico, One, Suave, my man, GM, Faiz, Dress and Draw, Sahar, Brilliant Art, um, Knee Runs 9000, GM, Rosa Morena, my friend, NFT Maker. We have Omid, Artiga, Hamid, Mahfa, Mahsan, Leila, Marigold, Golnas, Nebular, Vrerka, Misak, Itzna Saran, Make. Who else is here, guys? Let me check. We also have Misak. We also have Greg. We have Navarro. We have Alien. Little Vibe. John. Muhammad. DJC. Samon. Palka. Maya. Wilson. Margaret. Ethereal. And Air Ice. So, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Please follow our chains. Follow, I don't know, follow your inner voice. I think that's the most important thing in life, and especially in this space. Don't get lost. Follow your inner voice. And thank you so much for being here with us. Thanks for your time. See you soon. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Art Chains podcast. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and share the episode with your friends. It was me, your host, Amir, along with our amazing guests. Don't forget to listen to the Art Chains podcast on all streaming platforms. And thank you for being a creator.